This is the 3 a.m. conversation that you really want to be a fly on the wall for. This is the Sleepless Knights podcast, hosted by Mr. Lobo of Cinema Insomnia and my producer Paul Sanders of BESTOW TV. Those who listen know it's unlike all those other podcasts. This one is for us night people. We obsess on pop culture, we talk movies, talk shop, get weird, do interviews, answer your questions. We take you to the airport and to the laundromat. Okay, well, sometimes we get lost, but we promise you that we will go where no podcast has gone before. Dare you put down as little as $1 American and support our next show? We're getting it ready for you now. All you can hear for $1 or more an episode. Please join us on Patreon. Patreon.com/Sleepless Knights Podcast, all one word, SLEEPLESSKNIGHTS Only one D in podcast, even though we emphasize the odd in our pODDcast. We want normal people with real jobs to find us. Sleepless Knights Podcast on Patreon.
Once again, we'd like to thank all of our Patreon supporters. Our executive producer for tonight's episode is Anita Rivnik. Thanks again, Anita. All systems go.
Attention, Sleepless Knights. Thank you for consuming this OSI 74 product broadcast, live from the Black Knight satellite. For optimum performance and safety, your host, Mr. Lobo, asks that you please listen to these instructions carefully. When in a hospital or other healthcare facility, observe the restrictions on the use of electronic devices. Switch off before boarding an aircraft to prevent interference with communications systems. Do not operate this device in the presence of flammable gases or fumes, chemical plants, or where blasting operations are in progress. Always listen hands-free while driving a vehicle. Failure to observe these instructions may lead to immediate termination. It's time now for the show to begin. Thank you. Have a very pleasant evening.
You're not dreaming. You're listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast. I'm your host, Mr. Lobo, and this is the Toys That Unmade Us Part 2, or more of the toys that unmade us. The toys that still unmade us.
Wait, there's a part 2? When did you do the part 1?
We did part 1 of the toys that unmade us, Paul. I guess like Model Decoy Paul. We did the other Paul last time.
You did the other Paul?
Well, we didn't do the under
So
Paul.
gross.
Come on now. Grow up, will you? Let's grow up and talk about toys.
Oh, fine.
Like adults.
Whatever.
Since we're all yelling, can I say something?
No.
Fine.
Then I say something.
Something.
So there we go.
I just want to say this doll stand is like an attack on me personally. I don't understand. Did Alan pull all the budget?
Alan Smithy is not to blame for this. Considering our producers out in space, we don't have a really good handle on enough microphones for everybody down here on Earth.
This mic stand is pretty cyberpunk, though.
Yeah, that was Paul's decoy, Paul 2's mic stand. Don't tell me what to call you. I will call you what I please.
It's sad enough that he's like a little imp. You could at least give him the respect of giving him a name.
This is like a doll stand. This is like from a doll shop kind of doll stand with the metal, with a flat metal base, and then the wires that would be going up under the dress of the doll.
Yeah.
And then, that part, the wire part that would be holding up the doll is actually taped to a boom mic. But then that is not quite sturdy enough to hold the mic up off the table. So there is a crystal ball in its base weighting down the bottom of the doll stand. It's ridiculous. And there's I feel like there's Velcro and duct tape and gaffer's tape all making this hold up this microphone as
now I feel like this is just an attack on my size because I'm so short and I'm doll-like, and you can't see me because I'm so short that you had to put a crystal ball so you could actually see my lips move behind this mask.
So the combination of the doll stand and the crystal ball
is an attack on all light model
on the fact that you're a foot shorter than the original Paul.
Sure.
All right. Well, it might be, but you know, some attacks are earned, I always say. So, talking here about toys, we have basically a whole star chamber of immature people with juvenile tastes, with more toys than maturity. We have myself. We have, of course, Paul, or Paul 2.
Electric Boogaloo.
That's right. Over there, we have trying to come back to the world of the living. We have Aaron Lane. We have my on again, off again assistant, Miss Wendy Soes.
Hey, isn't it supposed to be my day off today?
I think you quit.
Why am I even here?
You know, I'm going to hire you back just so I can fire you again. And of course, doodling and drawing and almost paying some attention is my my lovely bride, Dixie.
Oh, I'm glad you remembered my name.
Well,
I make sure it wasn't another decoy.
Yeah.
Well, I wanted to make sure it wasn't like, do we want to do Dixie Della Morto, Dixie Della Morto Lobo,
Babs from the front desk,
Cogorella.
How many
Oh,
continuity?
Cogorella's trainer, thank you.
Oh yeah, Cogorella's trainer. We want to break your kayfabe.
Yeah. I mean, we got so much continuity going on at this table that it already broke us once.
Yeah.
Which one are you?
you just like burned out and crashed in like 30 seconds.
We talked a lot. Paul 1 and I talked a lot about Star Wars toys. We got a little bit into G.I. Joe, I think, if I remember correctly.
Good, then I won't reshare his memories.
I know that Dixie has her own Star Wars memories, Star Wars toys memories, and Dixie is of being my child bride. She is of a slightly different generation than the rest of us.
Yes, I am but a baby.
Yeah. Now, where's your microphone, Dixie?
It's between me and Wendy because the women have to share.
Mm-hmm.
And Paul's taking offense to talking into one on a doll stand?
Exactly. Actually, we do have a pretty nice mic stand, though, on ours.
That is pretty good.
Yeah, why do they get the good mic stands? Like all gold-plated?
Because of the share.
Because we're the women.
That's right. They need to have fancier ones. It's like toys, right? All the girls' toys are all like gold and purple and silver and actually,
you're just like naming a bunch of colors that aren't really typical
really
on
just
girls' toys.
Pink and purple and cheap ass is what a lot of girls' toys look like.
Pink and more pink.
Pink and more pink.
And other pink.
Mauve and
more of
pink.
a reddish pink versus a bluish pink.
But Dixie, as I understand it, you know, you have a certain experience with your Star Wars toys growing up?
Yeah, I mean, when I got into Star Wars, it was before, you know, the prequels came out, but way after the originals came out. So Star Wars toys, at least, unless they were like super collector's items, weren't that easy to come by.
Yeah.
Then the prequels were announced, and I was so excited.
And there was a flood of toys.
Oh my god, there was like paper dolls, and I mean, honestly, it wasn't just toys for me. It was like action figures, it was soda cans, it was t-shirts. I had a t-shirt that was like tie-dye, and it had like a pod racer on it.
Tie-dye.
Yes, that's a Star Wars pun. But you know.
I'll go back under the table.
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, and then it was like a little bit before the prequels, like right before the special editions came out, they started reissuing the originals, but they were all like hulked up where they were. Everybody was built like a
I had a
Power
Han Solo.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had a Han Solo one like that.
With a tiny head and like the big broad
big
shoulders.
body. It's really silly looking. I forgot about those.
Yeah. The Leia one was especially hilarious because she was
like,
all ripped too.
I mean, everybody was ripped in the 90s.
Yeah.
Like, that was toys. But
Like Arnold Schwarzenegger played everyone in this reissue of Star Wars that we never saw.
Thank God. But so after I got all these things, you know, and I think I was 12 the year that the first prequel came out.
Yeah.
I was so hyped.
Phantom Menace?
Yeah, I think we went and saw it the first weekend it came out. And I remember walking out of there going, that movie wasn't for me.
Mm.
And now I have all of these things in my house. My parents have probably spent hundreds of dollars on merchandise for a movie I didn't like that much. So,
you know, it's never a good sign when the toys come out way before the movie, right? It's like they're cutting their losses. The Dick Tracy, I feel like it must have been a year before that movie came out. There were Dick Tracy toys everywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, and the Phantom Menace ones, I think it was a year before they put out the first couple sneak preview ones, and it was like Mace Windu.
Mace Windu was a mail away.
Yeah, and then there was the Stap with the battle droid, where it was like the platform with the battle droid. And so then it was probably 6-8 months before the movie came out, they started flooding everything else. Very little Jar Jar leading up to the movie.
Interesting.
But you know what? As a 12-year-old, I did not hate Jar Jar.
Yeah.
That was like one of the few things I didn't care that much. I'm like, okay, it doesn't feel like Star Wars.
What was the thing? It just didn't feel Star Wars.
It just didn't feel like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
I just felt like everything was like candy colored and the story didn't make sense to me. It didn't follow what I was expecting to come.
Well, I remember when I saw it in theaters, like when the Fox fanfare and the Lucasfilm logo came up, everyone was just going ape shit. And the Star Wars logo and the crawl, everyone's going crazy. And then it was like crickets. Until Darth Maul got cut in half, and then everybody booed.
Wow. Yeah.
What a crowd.
Yeah. And this was midnight opening night. Like, everybody was dressed up and had their lightsabers.
Wow, everyone's dressed up and
To be
their
fair,
lightsabers
Darth Maul
and
is
pissed
super
off.
awesome.
Yes.
And that was just really disappointing.
Yeah, I guess so. We were supposed to talk about toys, but somehow we
Bitched about Star Wars.
bitched about Star Wars.
I did love my Darth Maul lightsaber.
Oh, is it with
the
telescoping?
Yeah. We used to have like epic lightsaber battles in the neighborhood. Actually, not my neighborhood. The next neighborhood over where my friend lived. All the kids would come out, and we all had different color lightsabers. And
did you ever see or have the banks that they made for Phantom Menace? There was an Obi-Wan, a Qui-Gon, and a Darth Maul, and then when you connected them together, they were like motorized and they would fight each other.
I never had
I used to
them,
own them.
but they have them at the antique shop that we volunteer at.
Yeah, and they always go off at the least inopportune
Yeah.
time. you know?
I never had them, but I always thought they looked
It's always
cool.
like, my grandmother's very sick.
Yep.
Anyway, we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we're going to go all get our lightsabers, and then when we come back, we're going to talk more about, not just about Star Wars toys, all kinds of toys, on the toys that still unmade us again forever.
Star Wars electronic lightsabers. Which side will you choose? The side of Anakin Skywalker or the dark side of Darth Tyrannus? With clashing sounds and light-up blades, the Force is in your hands with Star Wars electronic lightsabers, each sold separately.
Listen, the explosive words and sounds of the Star Wars Comtech system. Imagine yourself in the movie.
I sense a disturbance in the Force. May the Force be with you. Use your instincts. You will be a leader, I promise. You have been well trained.
You haven't experienced Star Wars until you've experienced Comtech. Figures come with chips, readers sold separately, batteries not included.
From Star Wars Episode 1, she's elegant, she's royal, there's no one like her. Queen Amidala. She has the most amazing hair. The most glamorous styles. Her own special looks. She's beautiful. And she's the only one who can save her people. Ultimate Hair Amidala, part of the Queen Amidala collection. Star Wars. Now it's your universe. Ultimate Hair Amidala and other Queen Amidala dolls come with the accessories you see here. Each doll sold separately. It stands on included.
So they had the little girl, which was the Anakin figure. Darth Maul was just Dennis. Qui-Gon Jinn. It was, I think it was Qui and then Gone with the
Fly,
word Gone. Oh, it was Fly, Gone, Gone, and then Jinn, Gin, like the booze. 3PO was R2-3PO. Boss Nass was Upright Slug.
Now, did they have a bid for tuna, and did people just laugh at it?
They did not. There's one other one that was really bad. Oh, Darth Sidious was Daft Serious.
This is along the lines of Robert Cop.
Yes,
right?
exactly.
Where you're not sure if it's a dollar store knockoff made in Mexico or some art project where someone snuck a bunch of mocked up packages into a store.
Because I remember seeing them at like Big Lots.
Yeah. You saw those at Big Lots? I don't believe you, Aaron.
They seem like dollar store kind of things.
You would have bought them if you saw them.
I think I do have a couple of them in storage. They didn't have all of them.
Let's see it. I want to see the knockoffs.
Remember when we were at the dollar store and they had all of those Jedi Obama figures?
Oh, that was interesting.
99 cents only store.
Yeah, those were interesting. It felt like they just put Obama's head like on a Ben Kenobi figure.
No, it was Mace Windu because he had the purple lightsaber and everything.
Oh, was it Mace Windu?
Yeah.
Wow.
Now, I would like to have bought one of those.
Yeah, I wish that we bought them because they're like going for like $200 on eBay now.
Yeah,
wow. They were like $5
at
99 cents only store.
I wish I could. There was one. We were somewhere. Remember, Dixie, when we were at the flea market and they had that one shop that had all those bootleg figures and stuff, and there was one where it was like Optimus Prime was like Primal Robot or something.
Oh yeah, that's we call it. It's the China shop. That's what my semi-racist grandma used to call it.
And then they would have like these superhero teams in a package, and it would be like, it would be like they would say like Justice Superhero Rangers or something like that. And then it would have like, Superman, Aquaman,
the Hulk.
And then Marvel characters would be in there too.
But then like also a Power Ranger.
One Power Ranger,
Garfield.
Mr. Incredible from The Incredibles.
I feel like once there was a Captain Planet. Wasn't there a Captain Planet?
Yeah,
in
I think there was. Yeah, it was just like whatever they could steal the mold for. They just all put in one big long box.
And they were all painted weird.
Yeah, weird
the
colors.
painting wasn't quite right.
Yeah, I love that stuff.
Yeah,
I think that's
awesome.
great. It's interesting because, that's the kind of stuff that would have bugged the hell out of me as a kid. But I think as an adult, it's just so refreshing to see such disregard for any sort of rules whatsoever.
Yeah,
well, there was a lot of those He-Man knockoffs too.
I love those.
Oh yeah,
and they're all like popular now and like desired. People want those ones because there was ones that are clear and have the glitter inside of them that are water filled and glitter.
Wow. There's that. Remember that one I wanted to buy and make it into a Mr. Lobo? That was just like a Mexican bootleg of a He-Man figure.
Oh yeah.
I still want to get that. It basically just looks like Lobo, but with a He-Man body. Like I'd have to add necktie and everything.
Would you paint a tie on it, or would you
I would
mold,
probably have to
mold
mold a tie onto it, but make one of those chest armors like Merman's got.
Now we were talking about toys, Dixie, and I wanted to before because I know you had some things you wanted to talk about specifically, and I didn't want to miss any of these things.
Is this all about me?
No, I'm going to make my rounds.
We've been railroading this since the beginning.
So one of the things, I guess, the last time, like I said, we talked about Star Wars, and I guess we'll come back because I know you had some He-Man stuff.
Yeah.
Minimally.
Yes.
When we get to He-Man, remind me that.
Okay.
And then I guess we'll talk about other toys. But Wendy, you've got your Star Wars toys too. Let's get Star Wars off the table first so that we can get past Star Wars.
Okay.
We all want to get past Star Wars.
So
Segment 4, we're still talking about.
well, maybe the toys that unmade us part 3. We'll talk about something other than Star Wars.
Maybe.
Good night.
Maybe.
Wendy, what was you had a moment there where it was all about Star Wars? What were the toys before Star Wars for you?
Sesame Street, toys, Barbies, dinosaurs. In 75, I had a shark.
Oh yeah, what kind of shark?
I don't know. It was.
You just had a shark.
I had a shark. It was rubber. You squeeze it and it squeaked.
Oh, I had one of those too.
It's like the shark on Toy Story.
I guess.
and yeah, and it was Jaws, right? For you, it was Jaws. Like for me, it was Jaws, right?
I never saw Jaws.
Oh, you never
when I was a
saw
kid.
Jaws? Oh, okay.
I just
What?
no.
You're a child who didn't see Jaws?
No, nope. My parents wouldn't take me, but because of Jaws,
Yeah,
there was all these like Jacques Cousteau and National Geographic specials.
I see.
There were toys, there were shirts, there was lunch boxes, bed sheets. Before Star Wars,
Did you have the Jaws game though?
the one where you go fish in its mouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, I got that.
Yeah, that's awesome.
That's awesome. Nothing better than when you figure out which ones actually trigger, and then you call your sister over to start playing, and you go, the big ones had the more points, and then she gets the snap.
And the Jaws snap while she's trying to take it out. I guess it's kind of like Operation, except you're trying to take things out of a shark's mouth, which is really a bad idea at any point.
Yeah.
Try to remove anything that's been swallowed by a shark. I feel like you're asking for trouble.
Probably.
It's not worth getting that license plate or whatever it is that you need out of that
I
shark.
don't know. License plates aren't cheap though.
They're very collectible.
Very collectible.
In their own right. So for a while, so it was Muppets, and then it was Muppets and
Barbies
and dinosaurs,
dinosaurs,
and
and
then
a shark. One
and
shark.
then what was the turning point? When did it all become Star Wars?
When they started selling Star Wars toys.
Okay,
I would say when I saw the movie, but there were no toys then.
No.
So when they came out, I didn't get the cardboard box.
Yeah, you didn't have the empty box.
No,
Yeah.
they wouldn't. My parents wouldn't buy that for me.
Yeah.
Which I understand.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
No, not the people in Jersey. But
only in Jersey.
But when they came out, I got my two favorites first, which was Chewbacca and 3PO.
Yes. Oh, that's awesome.
Those were the two I wanted first, because I kept asking Santa for my own Chewbacca.
Yeah. Now Santa. I understand Santa got you one of the vehicles, right?
Yes, he got me a snow speeder.
Oh man.
Don't you mean an air speeder?
No.
I was just showing Lobo in a store today. They had a Luke Skywalker Empire Strikes Back reissue figure where it says Snow Speeder in parentheses.
Which is funny. It doesn't say Snow Speeder pilot.
Nope.
It just says Luke Skywalker Snow Speeder.
So he is the snow speeder.
That's how good he is with the Force. He can just be a snow speeder if he wants to be. But it was interesting because we had and you can watch this on YouTube. But I just done an unboxing of Luke Skywalker as a snow speeder pilot, and in the description they refer to the snow speeders as an air speeder. And I just had like a crybaby meltdown.
Every 5 seconds. Snow speeder.
Yeah.
Air speeder.
Air speeder. Please. And
Which
then
we don't know if that's a modern
that's a modern affectation.
affect or...
Yes. Just like we with the same with AT-AT Walker versus AT-AT.
No, there's no AT-ATs. It's just AT-ATs.
So anyhow, that's a show for another time. That's a show for another time.
AT for me.
So anyhow, so Santa, you saw Santa in real life?
Yes.
Where was Santa? He made an appearance in Jersey?
Yes.
My God.
In the Pine Barrens at a post office.
He must have owed
In a
some,
snow
he owed
speeder.
some mobster a favor.
Probably. Probably. He didn't want to go swim with the fishes.
Gotta go break them thumbs.
Yeah, so I don't know the whole gist. I was little.
Yeah.
All I know is he had to wait in this giant line. He was in a tent.
Mm-hmm.
He told me my sister we were
Seems
good.
legit.
Yeah.
He told me my sister we were. My mom
Christmas
was there.
tent.
Yeah.
I've heard stories about it.
Mm-hmm.
He told us we were good girls. And he pointed to the store and said, "Go and get something for yourself." And we walk in, and there was like a back room of the post office, and it was just filled with toys.
Uh-huh.
And my sister was dumb, so she picked up something cheap, and my mom got mad at her. She
That's
was
a
like,
typical mom move, right?
Yeah,
Here's your chance to get a free toy. Get something you don't want that's expensive.
Oh man.
So I turn to this one corner, and there's this boy leaving, and all I see is Star Wars all the way to the ceiling. And I'm like, okay, yeah, there's my corner. And I'm like, oh yeah, exactly, exactly. And there it was, one snow speeder, and I'm like, mine.
Now,
I never saw it before.
Yeah.
Never saw it again.
Yes, there you go, and you had to have it. It's a great. You can fit 2 figures in it.
Yeah.
They never made a DAC figure, so you had to put 2 Lukes in there.
They made one later. They made one in the
Power of the
95
Force,
line.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm talking about when the thing was out for real, guys. Come on.
I've got one more Star Wars story
Yes.
that's like the opposite of Wendy's story. When I think I was 13 or 14, my parents are like, okay, you've got $50. You can get whatever you want at Toys R Us.
Yeah.
And I see this big Han on a Tauntaun.
Oh.
That was awesome.
I remember that.
It was awesome. And I was like, I want that. And it was $49.99.
What is he, like a 15-inch Han
It
Solo?
was huge. It was
on top
big,
of a giant Tauntaun?
It was awesome.
Yeah, they did 2. They did the Han with the Tauntaun and then Luke with the Wampa.
Oh,
wow. Yeah, well, the Han, like, at that time, I was, like, completely obsessed with Harrison Ford. Like, ooh la la. And I wanted that fucking figure. And my parents are like, but that's not fun. You're spending your $50 on one thing. And I'm like, but that's what I want.
Yeah.
And they literally browbeat me until we went around the whole Toys R Us and I had all these little tchotchkes. Like, the only thing I can actually remember getting was I got a figure of, like, Kylie from the Extreme Ghostbusters.
Oh, wow.
That's the only thing, though. Everything else was just, like, I don't know, slime and garbage.
Yeah.
Like, I just spent $50 on garbage, whereas I would
Erasers.
still have... Yeah, exactly. I still have that fucking Han figure if that were the case. But, yeah, my parents wanted me to have a bunch
that's
of
like a
little
$600
stuff.
figure now.
I know.
That's,
That's exactly it.
Yes, that's an awesome
Yes, thanks for
thing.
showing I don't know
That
visual
was-
on
that-
the audio podcast.
Yes.
Just for anyone here who did it.
Everyone at home, feast your eyes on this. Wow. That is amazing. Oh, boy. You know, they actually had one of those at Cackleberry for a while.
Spendy.
Was spendy.
More than $50.
Yeah, a lot more than $50. And I think it is interesting, though, the toys that you buy because either pressure from your parents or pressure from your friends. Is there any toys that you ever had because everybody else had one and you felt like you had to have one? We're not those kind of kids, right?
No.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Dukes of Hazzard.
Like the race car.
I will say they have it on Amazon for $92.
Oh,
well,
that's not too bad.
That is
not
still
anymore.
like
So someone listening at home already got it.
Snipe.
Well,
Let me get my phone out.
yeah, by the time they're hearing it, it's been gone.
That was a joke.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Comedy.
Explain
All
that
right.
again.
Yeah.
Or I could just give you mine.
Oh, you
Oh.
Maybe you could bring it over and we can look at
You
it.
don't have one though, do you? Oh, I thought the other Paul had one.
Somebody has it.
Oh, okay.
I mean,
I know where it's located.
All right, those memory implants.
I mean,
Well, we have the
we're
shared
all
memory.
collecting purposes,
Yeah. All right, those
you
memory
know.
implants.
As long as he didn't move it in the last 5 years.
Well, he couldn't move it from outer space. So, all right. Well, okay. There we go. It's gonna be a wonderful Christmas anyway. So toys. Did any of you ever like spend your allowance? Like there's toys that you get your parents to buy you, but what's the first toy that you actually got for yourself? Do you remember?
I think I got myself a Living Dead doll.
Oh, okay. What, from Hot Topic or something?
Yeah, I think it was either Hot Topic or Spencer's, but it was now it's another one of those things where like if I had kept it in nice shape, it would be really expensive. But it was was it Executioner? Is that the name of the character?
Is it the bunny?
It's the bunny. Yeah.
Yeah. It like Exorcist.
Exorcist. Yeah, it was like an Easter themed one, and at the time I
Okay.
collected rabbits,
Aw.
and it was just like a perfect mix of my love of spooky stuff and my love of rabbits.
Okay.
So.
All right.
That's the first thing I can remember.
Yeah, those Living Dead dolls, like I remember them, and I was thinking, like, you know, it's interesting. They went through the same thing. I feel like the Cabbage Patch dolls did, where they made them really nice in the beginning, and then they started mass producing them, and they really started losing that collectible aspect of them, or the thing that made them unique. Wendy, what is something you bought with your own money?
I got a Muppet Show Kermit the Frog doll.
Oh, wow. Okay. So was it an actual puppet?
No,
it was a doll.
No, Kermit wasn't the puppet. I think everybody else was. Except for Fozzie and Kermit.
Okay.
Yeah.
I remember he looked a lot like the one from the show. He was very well
I still have
Kermit.
him.
Yeah.
He sits on my
Everybody
shelf.
loves Kermit. Like Dylan and I were talking about this. It's like that's a multi-generational thing. I don't think anyone hates Kermit.
The first
Fuck Kermit.
Aaron?
The first thing that I bought myself was because my mom didn't want me to get a Nintendo.
Yeah.
And so she was like, "You have to buy that with your own money." And then the first time I had a tooth fall out, I'm like, "The Tooth Fairy left me $150." And then my mom and dad were fighting for like a week afterwards. But clearly my dad was just like, "There, go buy it."
Well, I don't think Paul's going to be able to beat that story. So we're going to take a break, and we're going to come back with the toys that unmade us.
Once upon a time, there was Area 707. Dixie's mom is a little witchy, and they had a lot of weird stuff. And we had all our weird stuff in there, too. So much weird stuff that we opened our own booth at Cackleberry Antique Mall that we called Vault 816. And it is so overflowed with weird, cool stuff now that we have another booth, 712. So please do us a favor and come out to Paradise, Pennsylvania, Cackleberry Farms Antique Mall, and visit Area 707, Vault 816, and 712, and get this damn stuff off our hands. I mean, you know, it's an embarrassment of cool stuff. Wouldn't you say, Paul?
And eclectic crap.
Eclectic crap. I couldn't say it better myself. All kinds of stuff. Collectibles, antiques, toys, games, and even your favorite Mr. Lobo merchandise. All right now for you to enjoy.
By the power of Grayskull, I have the power.
Dun, 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 dun.
Da, 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 da.
Right, that's how it goes.
Da, 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 da. If you've got a problem, and if you can find it, maybe you can hire the Eternia team.
Cha-cha-cha. I don't know how it is.
Yeah. He-Man was interesting for me. We promised everybody we'd get to He-Man, and we finally got here. He-Man was interesting to me because I had really, I had been reading a little bit of Conan comics. I had been, kind of seeing, I guess, getting the secondhand influence of like Dungeons and Dragons and stuff like that. People were kind of really into the fantasy stuff, like they are now. And I think that, Dungeons and Dragons had that weird kind of stigma of being satanic. It was banned in our school. No one could play it. So I think the fantasy stuff had a little, especially for an emerging, going into being a kid into an emerging teenager or an emerging adult, somewhere in that, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. The fantasy stuff kind of, I think, is a little bit of a rite of passage. It's a little bit darker. It has aspects of fighting still, but then of course it's got a kind of, you got a lot of skin being shown on the part of the characters involved too. And the He-Man toys hit. And I remember looking at He-Man and thinking, is that Conan? And looking at the figure and seeing that in the box behind him was like a little comic book. And I was like, oh, cool. There's a comic book with this figure. And I remember begging on to get the He-Man figure and reading that comic book. And then I got the Skeletor and read that comic book. And then the two swords for He-Man and Skeletor went together. And at that time, there was a cartoon called Black Star. Mm-hmm. and that was the story of Black Star also, was that the bad guy had half the sword, the good guy had half the sword, and then you put them together, you got the ultimate sword, and you have the ultimate power. Filmation made Black Star, and Filmation somehow got the contract to make the He-Man cartoon, which is weird because they would have totally been able to just rehash that same story, which was stolen from them anyway. But then they did a wholly different story for the cartoon than from the comic books.
They never even followed the comics at all.
I remember being really annoyed initially because I was really wanting it to follow the comic book story, and being annoyed that the sword, that they didn't have half of a sword, that they both had a whole sword.
Right.
Well, Skeletor almost never even broke out his sword. He always used the staff instead.
But then He-Man also had an axe.
Yeah. Did he use it in the cartoon, or was it just the toy?
Yeah, just the toy.
I was gonna say I don't remember seeing.
I mean, the whole thing.
Axe is very Conan, and I think that's probably why they dropped.
I mean, the whole thing with the Castle Grayskull playset was that there was supposed to be a little slit next to the door, and both swords combined was the correct thickness to open the gate of Castle Grayskull.
Yes.
That was the thing.
Yes.
And there was even a flag that was two-sided, and one side depicted if the heroes had control of Castle Grayskull, and the opposite side of the flag depicted if the villains had control of Castle Grayskull.
And they threw all that out the window.
Yes, none of that exists.
Which is funny because I always feel like Dixie always says that like that's clearly Skeletor's house.
Yeah.
If anyone has any right to be in Castle Grayskull, it should be Skeletor.
Yeah. It's really sad.
And so you kind of feel like
He-Man evicted him.
You kind of feel like the heroes kind of
are dicks.
Are dicks, yeah. That it's Skeletor's vengeance is justified.
Well, it's neither's. It's Enchantress's home.
Oh,
she's the one that comes with
the
that.
sorceress.
The sorceress, yes.
And then Snake Mountain seems like it would clearly be King Hiss's lair, but it's Skeletor's lair.
Right.
Yeah, none of
and then Hordak doesn't get shit.
This is clearly not a plot-driven franchise. This is definitely character-driven.
Well, you've seen the movie, right?
This is all about. I mean, people always talk about superheroes and adventure stories, and in this particular thing, like I said, I feel like it was almost like Pokemon before there was Pokemon, where it was like the sheer amount of varied and different themed characters with funny names to remember.
Stinkor.
Yes. Merman, Stinkor, Beastman, Buzz-Off, Mossman,
Trapjaw.
What's the three?
Triclops.
Fisto.
I feel like bad things.
Are we still talking about He-Man here?
Yeah, I feel like
I haven't even got to Ram Man yet.
Ram Man and Fisto.
Man at Arms.
But yeah, and I like the fact that, and then they put a cop mustache on Man at Arms in the cartoon for no reason. Yeah. It's like well, now he looks like he's in the Village People.
Well, technically, I guess he would be the cop. He's the head. He's the head of the security. So
yeah, and I know when they did that reboot in the 2000s, they had flashbacks where he was clean shaven, and then in the present he had the mustache to try and
somehow
fill in that
gap.
They need an origin story of where he acquired the mustache.
Yeah, and then they did the whole origin where you see Skeletor with a face before his face gets burned off.
Oh boy,
I hate that. I hate that.
I know. Dixie, tell me that you hate it.
I hate it.
Tell us how you feel about it.
I hate it so much.
That's
all I have is hate. It's stupid. Why would he have a face?
We don't need to ever see Skeletor's face.
No, he's got creature hands.
Yeah.
He's got creature feet. He's not a person.
Yeah.
He was never a person.
He's got blue skin
and
claws.
And he's got a neon green skull. No part of that says I used to be a person.
So, from what you're saying, he sounds like he's a Smurf.
Yes!
No, he's not a Smurf. I feel like he's an abomination, right?
Is.
He is some manifestation of black magic.
That's right.
Incarnate.
So him being He-Man's uncle, I'm sure you really wouldn't be
Oh,
thrilled with.
God.
Yep. He's the king's brother.
Now, in the Toys That Made Us
Terrible.
the Show, they talk about the arrival of She-Ra. And
Bong.
they talk about the arrival of first they had these muscular, very macho, on the trend of bodybuilding and action movies. They kind of had these super buff, super male-oriented universe. And then they decided, well, we're making good money here. In fact, we're making more money with these than we are with Barbie. What if we made a female counterpart to He-Man, which became She-Ra? And
Or as I called it when I was a kid, She-Man.
Oh, He-Man and She-Man.
That's fair.
Very progressive. Very progressive. I think what's interesting about that is that in the toy documentary, a lot of the toy makers on the guy's side, the designers on the guy's side, which is really funny because like the Star Wars inventors all seem like a bunch of nerds. The He-Man inventors all seem like a bunch of bros.
Oldster jocks.
Oldster jocks, right? And they were really annoyed that they felt that She-Ra took the piss out of He-Man somehow, where the boys didn't want to play with He-Man anymore because of She-Ra.
Mm-hmm.
I don't believe that's true.
Despite having 2 female characters in the line.
Yeah, I don't think that's true. I actually think
or 3.
that
was Teela ever made as a character?
Yeah.
The thing that the women who worked for Hasbro were saying the reason that and correct me if it didn't come from them, but the reason that He-Man sales started dropping with He-Man was because every time you go in the store there were 50 buzz-offs and there's no new entry level. They didn't keep the original He-Man and the original Skeletor in enough.
Well, and they would kind of make these
supplies.
like variations where it was like the battle damaged chests, but you couldn't get the original. You had to get these like slightly different ones.
And I feel like that their original base aged out.
Yeah.
And then there weren't new kids coming in with a fresh He-Man and a fresh Skeletor getting into that universe. And I think that I believe that more than I believe the fact that it was poisoned by She-Ra. And She-Ra was successful. She-Ra was a very successful.
Well, and I know some of the kids that I knew that were into He-Man would still get the She-Ra villain character.
Hordak looked awesome.
They had their own Beastman guy. I remember because you guys have the figure. I had to Google what his name was. I don't remember, but he had like actual fur on him.
Yeah. I think Ron Jeremy. I think is what that was called.
The hedgehog.
Yeah, that's what it was. Dixie, you had a She-Ra, right?
I had a She-Ra, but at the time I didn't know she was She-Ra until I was an adult.
Yeah, well, you had hand-me-down toys, right?
Almost all of my toys until I was about 11 or 12 were like hand-me-downs. Like I feel like the Star Wars stuff that I got was like some of the first like super new toys that I had. Because when I was little, I think my parents knew a lot of people who had kids, and also I had cousins, and I just always ended up with these weird odds and ends. I never had like a set of anything. So like later I found out
Han on a Tauntaun.
What?
Or Han on a Tauntaun.
Right. Which I didn't get years later, but yeah.
We should launch a Kickstarter.
Yes. Go fund me. Go fund me. I want a Han on a Tauntaun.
I want a Han on a Tauntaun.
I bet
She-Ra. Stop bringing up Star Wars. Anyway, so I think I did this time.
Yeah, you did. Yeah.
It's my fault. Anyway, so years later I found out that what I thought was Queen Spider.
You have to explain why it was a Spider Princess is what you always said to me. Now, why did you call her Spider Princess?
Because I had this awesome fuzzy black spider hand puppet with this amazing face.
Yes.
And it had a saddle. A saddle on the back that this princess doll.
So you had the Sectars.
Sectars.
I don't know which thing that is, but the Sectars was a whole line of toys with insect heroes and villains.
Yes.
And they rode on the back of larger insects, and there was a spider hand puppet with a little saddle mount on the back.
Yeah. I used to play with that thing. Like that was my favorite toy.
And that's why. So she was riding the spider.
And she was always riding it because she fit perfectly into that saddle.
Now, did she have a yellow dot painted on her shoulder?
I feel like she had a crystal.
No, this is something that Paul
Oh.
said when he
Moving
had
on.
too many. When he had all his Admiral Akbars, he had to differentiate them. So he put a little yellow dot on the
Weird. So you would
on the
know
chest.
which one was the Admiral
Or
Akbar?
just that I had so many that they just had different positions in
Different ranking.
so it
military,
was
so-
like a wow.
Yeah.
This is
Moving
Captain Akbar.
You know, I had as an adult,
Allah Akbar.
Oh,
as
no.
an 18 or 19-year-old, I was super into the Ood from Doctor Who.
Okay, yeah.
And I had like 7 of those fucking figures.
They were. I had seen a couple of them around here.
Yeah.
They've got the sort of a ball in their hand,
Yeah, they got
and then
the
a
ball.
tube going to their mouth from the
yeah,
ball.
and then they have like the little tentacle mouths.
Uh-huh.
I love those guys. I bought. There's a ton of them in the show, so I just kept every time I'd find one, I would buy it. So I had like probably 6 or 7 Oods.
All right, so
an ood for every mood.
An ood for
An
every
Ood
mood.
for my mood.
Well, maybe we'll do. We'll talk more about movie tie-in and TV show tie-in toys if we're done with
Star Wars and
He-Man.
He-Man?
No, what is there? Is there any more about
I have a
He-Man?
He-Man.
Was you have anything? Not that what you
Nothing.
missed.
You need
Wendy.
to use your
Wendy,
words.
No,
Wendy,
no.
no He-Man for you at all?
Nope.
Not at all. You were
Paul's
already
got a
hanging
He-Man.
out at the mall with your friends, acting cool by the time He-Man came around,
Goth,
right?
Probably.
Okay.
Small goth.
Small guy.
Uh,
That was before Hot Topic.
I mean, I know like one Christmas was like kind of the He-Man Christmas. That was also the year where my parents screwed up and like a bunch of the presents were wrapped addressed to my sister, and then
Lord.
that were mine, and then the stuff that was addressed to me was actually my sister's stuff. So I ended up opening a bunch of Barbie and My Little Pony and stuff. My sister opened a bunch of He-Man stuff, but it was like I got like He-Man, Skeletor, Panther, Battle Cat, not Snake Mountain. I got Castle Grayskull, Tila, Man at Arms, a couple of the villain guys. I think maybe Beastman and Trapjaw. So it was just like pretty much everything they had at the store, He-Man, just here lumped all at once.
Gee whiz.
Nice.
Wow.
Yeah.
And there we go. Aaron's like trumping my story.
No,
Like,
Again.
sorry. I was also going to put a little plug in while it's the holiday season. If you've never seen it, the He-Man and She-Ra Christmas special, a.k.a. Skeletor Saves Christmas.
I am
Don't
not
miss
nice.
that.
I am not wonderful. Yes, that is a great one.
It's baller.
Yes, we should all watch the He-Man She-Ra Hall. It's interesting how there's a whole nother generation of people who have both a kitschy and there's an ironic appreciation and
Yeah.
a serious appreciation for that line again, and it's really neat to see that fully come around, because I think for a while it was sort of a punchline. And on that note, we're going to regroup, and when we come back, we're going to talk about movie and TV tie-in toys.
Open the jaw bridge.
The powers of evil control Castle Grayskull.
Oh yeah, Dad, what? Ram Man's power. I'll get us inside, He-Man.
Ram Man, He-Man, and Castle Grayskull, each sold separately. You have to put the castle together.
Ram Man, use your head. I just did. Not that way. We have a prisoner.
Good. Who's the prisoner?
You are, because we have the power.
Oh, no. Ram Man and He-Man from the Masters of the Universe collection, each sold separately. Castle Grayskull also sold separately from Mattel.
This is Princess Adora, sister of He-Man, and her gentle horse. Each sold separately. You can pretend.
She's lovely as a flower, but she has a secret power. A magic sword in one stroke, and she's got the strength of a tower. She wrote Princess of Power. The fate of the world's in the hands of one beautiful girl. Princess of Power.
She-Ra doll Princess of Power comes with everything you see here. Swiftprint horse sold separately. New from Mattel.
Spend your holidays with USA and a special double feature of your favorite cartoon characters. First,
Ho, ho, ho. Merry Christmas.
He-Man and She-Ra, a Christmas special. Then, a holiday classic returns.
God bless us, everyone.
Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol.
Bah, humbug.
Well, I think you're feeling the Christmas spirit. He-Man and She-Ra, a Christmas special. And Mr. Magoo's Christmas Carol, a USA special presentation. Christmas Day at 5, 4 Central.
We're back with more of the Sleepless Nights, the toys that unmade us, and Paul at Arms here did not get to tell his He-Man story. Paul, do you have your He-Man story?
Yeah, my He-Man story is like roughly about when that came out. There was kind of like the family issues of divorce and everything, and my dad.
That was on He-Man?
I think it was like episode 4.
Oh, wow. I must have been sick that day.
So I ended up with like 3 He-Man playsets.
Oh, wow.
So there was one He-Man playset for when I was at home.
Oh, wow.
There was one He-Man playset for when I was at my dad's house.
Yeah.
And then there was one He-Man playset when he acquired a girlfriend and they had kids as well.
Wow.
And the one common thing that I had more so than He-Man or Skeletor or Battle Cat or any of those things is fucking Ram Man. I had 3 to 4 of those Ram Mans, because I think at one place I had 2 Ram Mans. Ram Man has no articulation. He's just a spring. And a button.
That's it.
And that's it. I think you might be able to move his arms like an inch if
I
you're
don't
lucky.
think you can. I think he just pops up, right?
That's it. That's it.
I don't think they go up and down,
No,
but I think they just
like
rotate.
spin or something. It was really bad. And I think that's what ruined He-Man for me. It was like, I just don't like this character.
Single-handedly ruined He-Man. Interesting, because it did feel like in the stores at the end, it was just a dozens of Ram Man. I remember, even at Cackleberry, I think there's 3 or 4 in there now, right?
I mean, that could have been the reason why I had so many of them to begin with.
I think that they were in that Boscov's in the bins, just a pile of Ram Mans. Taken out of the packages. Did you say Ram Men?
Ram Men's.
Ram Men's? Army of Ram Men. Ram Men noodles.
Ram Men? Yeah, boy. I think we rammed this into the ground.
Yeah.
But, it is interesting, how something can go from being so popular and being a powerhouse and then hitting that kind of turning the corner where it goes passe. And I think with a lot of these toys, we've seen them go and come and go from being a phenomenon to being obscure to being a phenomenon again. It's interesting to me, and I'm going to bring this over back to Dixie again.
Oh, great.
That like I liked the X-Files a lot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm lucky. I'm under the table.
But I never liked the X-Files. I never thought I need a toy of this. Even though I ended up having a Mulder, I think I did end up with a couple of toys just from presents and stuff like that. But I never felt the need of, I want to like get down in the, and play with these guys, or although I was much older. I mean, what was, you had X-Files toys?
Yes. So that was the year. What year was that? What year did that movie come out?
92, 93.
No, it was the
late
movie.
90s.
The movie.
Because it came out after the movie.
Yeah. So what? It doesn't
the
matter.
The figures came out after the movie?
Yeah, so I was like 13, 14, probably around that age.
All right.
And I really wanted those figures because I fucking loved X-Files.
Yeah.
X-Files, when I was a little kid, that was my jam. I loved all of that. The movie came out. I had the movie on VHS. I just watched it until the tape stopped working. And I wanted those figures after the movie came out. And my parents got me those figures, but they both came with like the liquidy jelly man in the sarcophagus.
The same figure.
Yeah.
So they all each came with a bonus figure.
Yeah, they came with a bonus figure, and they both had the same bonus figure. And I was like really bummed that I now had 2 of these weird jelly men, because it's like there's only so much you can do with that. You literally you open it, Scully and Mulder look at it.
They're the Ram Man of the X-Files.
Yes. I presented it. Exactly. So yeah, no, I had 2 of those Jellymen, and then you know what though? I got to pretend that Jellyman was the mayor guy from the X-Men movie.
Oh,
yeah. There's a little crossover potential.
Right, he turns to jelly at the end of the
spoilers.
X-Men.
Oh, sorry, people who didn't see
the first
movie.
X-Men movie.
Get on that.
So that was it.
That was pretty much my main grievance, and I actually ended up giving those figures as a either a Christmas present or a going away present to Eric and Cress.
Oh, okay.
Shout out to Eric and Cress.
Yes,
Miller.
hope you're listening. We love you. We miss you. Stay well. I think what's interesting about the X-Files figures, well, I put them in the category of a lot of I think a lot of the I don't know why. Is
Oh.
that 20th Century Fox?
The other thing was that Scully's didn't have like any articulation, so the one arm just like kind of shot out at the elbow.
Oh, interesting.
She could either have her hand on her hip, or she could be like pointing at something with her whole hand.
But that was it.
And I just remember being like, "This is weird. These are barely toys."
It is interesting because I mean, articulation's a lot more important now than it ever was. Like when I was a kid, the toys always looked like they were stiff as a board with their legs straight out and their arms to their sides.
Yeah.
Because I think they were kind of following the pattern of the fashion dolls. They were dolls that you had to put clothes on, and typically dolls would have their arms at their sides and their legs straight, so you could put pants on them and you could put. But I think when we evolved into toys of action characters, at a certain point they realized, well, they don't have to have their legs straight. We could bend them at the knees. We could have them more in a pose.
Wasn't that like G.I. Joe?
The G.I. Joe ones were interesting because they weren't necessarily in a pose, but they were posable.
I mean, they were the same size as the Star Wars figures, but at least they were more functional. They could bend at the elbows.
I remember Han Solo had that one arm that would bend at the elbow, so he could hold his gun up like he is in the picture, and that was a big deal. It's like, whoa, his arm is bent at the elbow. It didn't move. You couldn't unbend it, but it was a big deal that Han's elbow was.
Meanwhile, the Boba Fett came like this with straight hands. He couldn't even hold a gun.
But he had that missile on his back.
They did not do anything.
Anyway,
thanks for nothing, Star Wars toys.
We keep coming back to Star Wars.
Well, I want to throw out there too is that they brought back the He-Man toys, and they now have articulation. They have more.
Yes.
Now I want to get that Ram Man just to see what what he does.
All right.
Watch him just be a lamp.
Get 4 or 5. Why just get one?
Why
Get 4
stop
or
at
5.
one? I could have an army.
Yeah, of Ram Men
Put
that have
different
all
colored
this
dots on 'em.
articulation. It is interesting because a lot of the modern toys have a lot of detail, like movie toys, like from Hellraiser. Like Dixie, you had the Hellraiser figures.
I had a bunch of Hellraiser figures. I had.
Did you, Wendy?
No. Are you jealous? Because there's still a box upstairs.
You've got.
I have an 18-inch
Oh,
pinhead
God.
up in the attic, and I have a bunch of those weird Clive Barker toys that are real gross.
Yeah. Well, so was what
They're just in a Tupperware up in
the
the
McFarlane stuff kind of.
McFarlane.
Did that start all of that?
I'm pretty sure that those
hyper
figures are
detailed,
McFarlane.
I think the X-Files might be McFarlane
They
too.
could be because they're like hyper
Because they were
detailed.
really
too
I know you
detailed.
did like a line of like Batman figures that were like probably 8 inches to a foot tall,
Oh,
where it's
wow.
like Legends of the Dark Knight, and they were.
But
all
these
kinda-
aren't for children.
He also
right?
moved over
These
to
are for
baseball and
collectors.
stuff.
These
And
are
did
collectors.
sports
Oh
stuff.
yeah. He did
Full
all the
detail.
Spawn stuff, of
Yeah.
course.
I mean, I'm a little for whatever reason when I see toys like that, it's like I feel it's a strange thing because when I was a kid, I felt like they didn't have enough detail, and now I've gone totally around the horn where I feel like they have too much detail to where they look like Uncanny Valley. Like sometimes, like we were at the GameStop today, and they had the Snow Speeder, Luke Skywalker, and don't get me started, Paul 2. And it was interesting because the face is almost photorealistic, and it feels like it's maybe painted by computer or something, and it's like this weird expressionless, too much detail. Like, if you think about like if a person was standing far enough away from you to be the size of an action figure, you would not see that much detail in their face. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like it's so much detail that it's distracting. Like, so I don't know. Does anybody else feel that
and
way?
It's warts and it's got crow's feet.
I almost feel like they should make them almost like the animated versions of them, where they're a little bit exaggerated, a little bit more fun looking.
Make a Luke where you can see the scars from the
Car
Wampa
accident.
hitting him or the car accident.
I mean, it's either that or you get the '95 version where all the figures were buff and had big, broad chests and.
They still make their heads too tiny, even today. I
Even
feel
though
like that's a holdover from when they were buff and stupid in the 90s. They've got the heads that are too tiny.
It's like they had a bunch of just leftover Hulk Hogan figures. And they're like, let's just paint Star Wars on them. Yeah, this one's Han Solo. This
Road
one's
back to Star Wars.
But
man.
Anyhow, too much Star Wars. Alien had a bunch of toys, but I didn't buy any of them. I mean, I may have it. I had the giant Alien. I had the one that was what is that? What was he? Was that 15 inches? I think he was 15 inches.
Yeah, I think so.
He was really tall. And that one I begged on in 1979. I begged to get that. And there was a big controversy because this was a rated R film that had a toy for children. And for whatever reason, my dad was a horrible parent and bought this thing for me. And I was terrified of it. Like, it looked like H.R. Giger's creation to a T.
Meanwhile, your wife is talking about owning Pinhead when she was a child.
Yeah. And for the record, I wasn't scared of it.
And I think I've told this, and I think I've told this story on the podcast, but ultimately I had to have it. I had to keep it out of the house because I could not fall asleep in the same place.
Oh my God.
With this thing living in the house with me. So we've come a long way from that, which was made by Kenner, to these toys that literally look like movie props. They literally look super realistic. Wendy, you've got a lot of movie stuff, right? A lot of movie tie-in stuff.
Kind of, yeah. Yeah, I got some stuff.
Yeah. You want to talk about any of them?
Most of them are horror movie, though.
That's fine.
And they're definitely more adult, like they're not kids' toys.
Yeah, that's fine.
I guess I did have, like...
Not kids' toys like those Hellraiser toys.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I do have a Pinhead, but that's from, like, Mezco. It's a collectible.
You've got some alien stuff, too, don't you?
I do have a few alien things.
Yeah.
There was a kids line that came out.
Uh-huh.
I want to say it was early 2000s.
Uh-huh.
Right? Because my son was in a stroller.
Yeah.
And it was before that, late 90s. It was like, because they had all these different mutant variations, like a serpent one.
Like the colorful ones?
Yeah.
Yeah. I think they reissued those.
They did.
Yeah, they've come back recently with those.
Yeah, I have a couple of those. Because I have the Queen.
Yeah.
I got the Queen, yes. Okay. I got a couple of Funko ones. I got a couple of...
Funko, which characters?
I got the Queen again.
Queen Alien as Funko?
Yep. Yeah, she's
Can't
like
have
one of
enough
the
of the
big
Queen
ones.
Alien.
Yeah.
I think I have
She's
an...
a Disney
She's a Disney
queen.
queen.
Queen now, right?
I know. She's the best Disney queen ever.
Between that and Frankenfurter.
Yes.
But they're not... It's supposed to be Disney princesses.
Yeah, but you can have your wicked
You have
queens.
evil queens
Evil
and
queens.
Well, the
princess. And
Frankenfurter's
Disney
not
princesses.
that nice of a guy.
That's true.
The facehugger would be the princess.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
Facehugger is the new Disney princess.
Ripley is the princess.
Yeah.
Facehugger is the princess.
Funko Pops, I guess this
I'm
is
not
a
even
different
gonna go
era,
there.
right?
yes.
Where that's the total opposite of them being so hyper realistic and this is not realistic to anything. They just look like Hello Kitty.
They don't have noses.
They don't have noses.
Big bulgy eyes.
It's just basically all these serious characters as Hello Kitty. So, I mean, that's an interesting thing too, because people are very serious with those toys and they're not very serious. Like, I feel like they're one step below a bobblehead because they don't even bobble, right?
Some of them do.
Some of them bobble.
Yeah.
People collect them in mass. For me, I feel like at a certain point, is it special? If you've got 200 of them on your wall, are they special anymore? I mean, is there a point? Is there a point where it's too much, Paul? How much is too much?
There's never too much.
Why'd
you call me out?
So you're one of those guys.
You've seen Under the Porch.
All right.
I know one that I've seen recently. I don't actually have any of them, but I've seen them in stores with the hyper realistic.
Yeah.
Is they're doing these ones now of the first and second Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movie, where the characters are like a foot or foot and a half tall, and I mean, it looks like they scanned like the suits for the turtles and the Toka and Razar.
Isn't that the NECA?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and they're hyper detailed.
Yeah, somebody was asking us about that.
That almost kind of harkens more to like the people who are into model kits and model kit building, where they want to have all of the details exactly the same as the movie. We could talk a lot about. We haven't talked about models at all. We haven't talked about games at all.
No.
There's so much more we could talk about in the line of the toys and things that are toys and kind of toys and sort of toys and aligned with toys and parallel to toys that made us or unmade us and made us again forever. So hopefully we'll be able to come back again and do this. Anybody, any last thoughts on our way out the door?
I only like the robot Funko Pops.
Okay.
If it's a person, I hate it.
Okay, you don't like the people ones?
No.
Just the robots.
Yeah.
Yeah, you've got
Or
clap.
monsters.
You've got Claptrap.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I have like 3
I have the
different
only Funko Pop I have
Okay.
is the Metaluna Mutant and the Creature from the Black Lagoon. I think,
And then I got the big Godzilla.
and the Godzilla one.
Anyway, that's it.
Okay, Paul. Last words.
I wonder if Ram Man Funko has more articulation than the original Ram Man.
Probably at least equal to the original.
Maybe a better spring. I don't know. Aaron, is there a toy that you're looking forward to? Is there still something you got your eye on?
Not that I can think of at the moment, but I'm kind of impulsive where it's just when it catches my eye, I'm just like, oh, that's cool, and I grab it.
I understand that. It's funny because I'm out of it. I'm not really into toys anymore. Then you just see that right thing, and you're like, oh no, I gotta have that.
Yeah, I'm out of toys. I'm not collecting anymore. Hey, let's produce a series where we open nothing but toys, and we're gonna have to buy a lot of toys because we have to open them.
We get the fans to mail them to us so we don't have to buy them ourselves.
That's right. We will win, and also please join us on Retro New Review, which is basically a produced by both of the Pauls and myself somehow.
Like New Zoo Review.
Yes, it's coming home to you. It's the review retro review. I like R&R. That works for me. R&R. Yeah, like your resting and relaxation and something.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. That's right.
Rock and roll.
Rock and roll. Anyhow, before this veers back over to Star Wars again, why don't we cut our losses? And this has been the toys that unmade us.
Dun 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 dun.
Greetings, this is Mr. Lobo from the future. In this space would have been for pure entertainment and funny purposes. However, it has been found by the High Council for Human Consumption that the artists from the Sleepless Knights are bankrupting the original copyright holder of. We're so sorry to the High Council for Human Consumption. May we praise you for keeping the public safe, our bad for trying to pull a fast one. You caught us, and we have removed so we can place our show back onto the airwaves. Thank you for your patience. Back to the show. You have been listening to the Sleepless Knights podcast, or should we say, pODDcast.
Podcast.
Emphasis on the odd. Our theme is by Mars Homeworld at Deadhouse Music. Our opening announcement is by Ophelia Necro. She does a radio show called Suicide Watch. And you could reach Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com, or find me on YouTube, YouTube/Mr. Lobo. MISTERLOBO. Mr. Lobo on Facebook, Facebook/MR.LOBO, or on Twitter, at Mr. Lobo, MISTERLOBO.
Or you can find myself, Paul Sanders, or better known as BESTOW TV, at BESTOW.TV, on YouTube /BESTOW TV, on Twitter at BESTOWPROD, PROD, and on Facebook, BESTOW TV.
If you want to place an advertisement with this podcast, and gosh, why wouldn't you? We could be talking about you right now. Contact us, Mr. Lobo at cinemainsomnia.com. That's MRLOBO @CINEMAINSOMNIA.com. Or support us on Patreon. Patreon supporters get to hear this podcast before anyone else, and a lot of other great stuff, right, Paul?
Sure.
Doesn't get it better than that, right? So come join the fun at
patreon.com/Sleepless Knights Podcast.
That's
patreon.com/Sleepless Knights Podcast.
Please stay up with us next week for another Sleepless Knights podcast. Or should we say, pODDcast.
Podcast.
The best thing about being an insomniac is never having to say goodnight.
Good night.